Level 1 is survival mode. Your bank account shows $127. Rent is due in 6 days, and you're $340 short. You're not homeless. You're not starving. But you're close enough to both that every single financial decision carries weight that people with money will never understand. You make $28,000 a year working retail, which breaks down to $2,333 a month before taxes and $1,850 after. Your rent is $950 for a studio apartment you share with a roommate you found on Craigslist. Your half is $475, but the utilities add another $80. Your phone bill is $65. Car insurance is $120 because you're under 25 and had an accident 2 years ago. Gas to get to work is roughly $160 a month. That's $900 before you've eaten a single meal. You buy groceries strategically: rice, beans, pasta, eggs, frozen vegetables. You've learned that a $40 grocery trip can last 10 days if you're disciplined. Eating out is a luxury you can't afford, but sometimes, after a particularly brutal shift, you break and spend $12 on Chipotle, then hate yourself for it, because that's 2 hours of work after taxes. You have $847 in credit card debt from an emergency room visit 8 months ago when you had what you thought was appendicitis but turned out to be severe gas. The bill was $2,400. You negotiated it down and set up a payment plan of $50 per month, but the interest keeps it climbing. Your friends want to go out. They don't understand why you always decline. They think you're being distant. You can't explain that the $60 they'll spend on drinks and an Uber is your grocery budget, or that their casual, let's just split it evenly approach to dinner bills makes you want to scream because you ordered the cheapest thing on the menu and water while they got cocktails and appetizers. Dating is nearly impossible. You can't afford to take someone to dinner. Coffee dates are your maximum, and even then, you're calculating whether that $8 could have been better spent elsewhere. When matches on dating apps suggest fun activities, you ghost them rather than admit you can't afford a $30 museum ticket. Your car is a 2009 sedan with 182,000 miles. The check engine light has been on for 5 months. You know, it's probably the oxygen sensor, $200 to fix, but as long as it still runs, you're ignoring it. You live in constant fear of a breakdown that will cost more than you have. You don't have health insurance. Your job offers it, but the monthly premium is $180 and the deductible is $6,000, which means you'd have to spend $6,000 before insurance pays anything. You've done the math. You can't afford to be insured, and you can't afford to get sick. So you exist in a state of anxious hope. You have $0 in savings. Every financial advice article tells you to build an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of expenses, which would be $5,000 to $10,000. You want to laugh. You want to cry. And sometimes you do both. Your parents don't understand. If they have money, they think you're being irresponsible. If they don't, they're disappointed you haven't done better. Either way, you feel like a failure. You apply for better jobs constantly. Each rejection email is a small death. You're either overqualified or underqualified, too experienced or not experienced enough. The jobs that would pay $45,000 require a degree you can't afford to finish. The jobs that don't require a degree pay exactly what you make now. Late at night, you run the numbers obsessively. If you could just make $45,000, just $17,000 more, everything would change. You could save. You could breathe. You could live instead of simply surviving. But right now, survival is all you have. You're not building a future. You're treading water, hoping you don't drown before something changes. And the worst part? Millions of people live here forever. This isn't a temporary struggle before success. For most, this is life. You tell yourself you'll escape. But deep down, you're terrified this is permanent. Level 2 is stability. You got the promotion, or the new job, or finally the raise you've been asking for. Either way, you now make $52,000 a year. The difference is immediate. Your checking account doesn't dip below $500 anymore. You're not rich, not even close, but for the first time in your adult life, you're not in constant crisis mode. You move to a one-bedroom apartment that costs $1,100 per month. It's all yours. No rummat. No negotiating shower schedules or passive-aggressive notes about dishes. Your monthly take-home is roughly $3,200 after taxes. Rent and utilities are $1,200. Car payment on a used 2018 sedan you financed is $280. Insurance dropped to $95 because you're older and your record is clean. Gas is $140. Groceries are $250 because you can actually buy fresh produce now and aren't limited to the cheapest starches. You're putting $200 per month into savings. It's not much, but watching that number grow from $0 to $200 to $600 to $1,400 over months feels like psychological medicine. You have a buffer now. Not a big one, but enough that an unexpected $400 expense won't ruin you. You signed up for your employer's health insurance. The premium is $120 per month, but the deductible is $1,500. Manageable if something happens. You went to the dentist for the first time in 4 years. 2 cavities. $340 after insurance. You paid it without having to choose between that and rent. You could say yes to dinner with friends now, occasionally. You're still careful, still budget conscious, but you're not the person who has to skip every invitation. You Venmo your share without sweating it. You can afford the $35 dinner once or twice a month. Dating is possible. You can suggest dinner or an activity without feeling humiliated. You're not spending extravagantly, but you're also not the person piecing together 2-for-1 coupons. But here's what nobody tells you about this level. You're still one disaster away from falling back. Your savings account has $2,800 in it after 14 months of discipline. That feels like security until your car needs a $1,200 repair. You have the money, but watching your savings cut in half overnight is psychologically devastating. You're back to building again. Your friends who make $80,000 or $100,000 don't understand why you're still stressed about money. They suggest trips, $800 for a weekend, concerts, $150 tickets, or buying rounds at the bar. You've learned to decline gracefully, but internally, you're frustrated. They think you're cheap. You know you're being responsible. You're contributing 4% to your 401k to get the company match. That's $173 per month. Financial advisors say you should be saving 15% for retirement, which would be $650 per month. Impossible. You're doing what you can and hoping it's enough. You start noticing the gap between you and people who grew up with money. A coworker mentions her parents paid off her student loans as a graduation gift. Another talks about his small inheritance of $45,000 that he used as a down payment on a house. You have $31,000 in student loan debt at 6.8% interest that you're paying $350 per month toward, and it barely touches the principal. You're stable, but you're not secure. You're not building wealth. You're building a foundation that can still crack. People at level 1 think you have it made. People at level 3 think you're struggling. You're in a strange liminal space, better than before, but not nearly where you want to be. And the quiet fear you never voice. What if this is as good as it gets? Level 3 is comfortable. You're making $85,000 a year now. You're a mid-level professional, maybe a senior account manager, an experienced software developer, a skilled tradesperson, or a healthcare worker with a few years under your belt. Your take-home is roughly $5,200 per month after taxes for 401k contributions and health insurance. You rent a 2-bedroom apartment in a decent neighborhood for $1,650 per month, or maybe you bought a small starter home with a $1,800 per month mortgage. Either way, you have space, an office, a guest room. You're not cramped. Your car is reliable, a 2021 model you bought certified pre-owned. The payment is $420 per month, but it has a warranty, good gas mileage, and Bluetooth. You're not worried about breakdowns. Your monthly expenses look like this. Housing, $1,800. Car payment, $420. Insurance, car plus renters/home, $185. Utilities, $150. Groceries, $400. You buy organic sometimes, meal prep, occasionally order HelloFresh. Gas, $120. Subscriptions, Netflix, Spotify, gym, etc. $85. Student loans, $480. Miscellaneous/entertainment, $300. Total, $3,940. That leaves you with $1,260 per month for savings, investments, and discretionary spending. You're putting $500 per month into savings, which has grown to $18,000, a real emergency fund. You're maxing out your Roth IRA, $500 per month, $6,000 per year. You're contributing 10% to your 401k. You have a brokerage account where you put $150 per month into index funds. You can afford vacations, not luxury European tours, but a week in Mexico, $2,200 total, or a road trip to visit friends without stressing over every gas station stop. You buy clothes without guilt. Not designer, but you're not shopping exclusively at Target anymore. You'll spend $120 on a good pair of jeans or $200 on work shoes because you understand cost per wear. You say yes to weddings, even destination ones, though you budget carefully and skip the bachelor party in Vegas because $1,500 for someone else's weekend still feels absurd. Your friends are mixed. Some make less and think you're doing well. Others make double and don't understand why you're not buying a house or leasing a luxury car. You've learned to navigate both groups without apology. Dating is normal. You can afford dinners, shows, weekend getaways. You're not wealthy, but you're not counting pennies either. If a relationship progresses, you can imagine combining finances without panic. But here's the trap of this level: lifestyle inflation. You used to be thrilled with a $12 dinner. Now you're casually spending $50 at a nice restaurant. You used to share streaming services. Now you have 5 subscriptions. You needed the $1,200 couch because the old one didn't fit the vibe. Your expenses grew with your income. You're saving, yes, but you're also spending more than you ever imagined you would. The difference between $52,000 and $85,000 should feel massive, but it doesn't. You're more comfortable, but you're not wealthy. You start feeling the weight of optimization pressure. Every financial decision is a trade-off. Buy the house and build equity, or rent and invest the difference. Pay off student loans or invest while rates are low. Max out retirement or save for a down payment. There's no crisis anymore, but there's no total freedom either. You're comfortable, which is more than most people achieve, but you're aware that one major disruption, job loss, health crisis, market crash, could set you back years. You're building wealth slowly. You'll probably retire okay. You're doing what you're supposed to do. But somewhere inside, you wonder, is this it? Is this the dream? Level 4 is affluent. You're pulling in $180,000 a year. Maybe you're a senior software engineer, a mid-level doctor or lawyer, a successful small business owner, or a corporate director. Your monthly take-home after taxes and maxed-out retirement contributions is roughly $10,500. You bought a house, not a mansion, but a real home in a good school district. For bedrooms, 2,500 square feet, $525,000 purchase price. Your mortgage is $2,900 per month, including property taxes and insurance. You put 20% down, $105,000. That took you years to save. You drive a $45,000 SUV. You didn't buy it outright. Your payment is $650 per month, but you could have. You chose to finance at 2.9% and invest the cash instead because you've learned how money works now. Your spouse works too, bringing in another $75,000, which puts your household income at $255,000 per year. Combined, you're financially formidable. Your monthly household expenses: mortgage, $2,900. Car payments, 2 cars, $1,100. Insurance, home, auto, umbrella policy, $480. Utilities, $280. Groceries, $800. You shop at Whole Foods without looking at prices. Gas, $200. Childcare, $1,800. 1 kid in preschool. Cleaning service, twice a month, $240. Lawn care, $120. Subscriptions and memberships, $150. Miscellaneous, $600. Total, $8,670 per month. You're saving and investing aggressively. $3,500 per month into index funds, both maxing 401k. $1,666 per month each, $20,000 per year each. 529 college savings for your kid, $500 per month. Emergency fund, $50,000 fully funded, sitting in a high-yield savings account. You take 2 vacations a year, one international, $8,000, one domestic, $3,500. You fly economy, but premium economy on long flights because your back can't handle 14 hours in a middle seat anymore. You don't worry about money day to day. Dinner out costs $150? Fine. Kid needs new shoes? Buy 3 pairs. Car needs maintenance? Schedule it. But new pressures emerge. Your parents are aging. Your mom mentions she's struggling with a $1,200 per month mortgage. You quietly pay it off, $85,000 because you can, but it creates a strange dynamic. Travel fund, $2,500 per month. You take 4 to 5 trips a year. Charity, $1,500. Cash reserves, $190,000. You're financially independent. Technically, you could retire early if you move to a lower cost of living area and reduced expenses. But you won't. You like your work, most days, and you're in your peak earning years. Money is no longer a source of stress. It's a tool. You don't look at price tags anymore. If you want the $800 dining table chair, you buy it. If your kid needs braces, $6,500, it's not even a discussion. If your roof needs replacing, $18,000, you schedule it. You fly business class internationally, not because economy is unaffordable, but because 16 hours in a lie-flat seat is worth the extra $3,000. Your time and comfort have value now. You have a financial advisor, a CPA, and an estate attorney. You set up trust for your kids. You have a will, power of attorney, healthcare directives, all the invisible scaffolding of wealth. But new anxieties emerge. You're terrified of losing it. Market downturns make you nauseous even though you're diversified and decades from retirement. Every economic news story feels personal. Your kids are growing up with privilege you didn't have. They've never worried about money. You want them to be grateful, grounded, hardworking. But how do you teach hunger to someone who's never been hungry? You donated $18,000 to charity this year and felt good about it, until you realize that's barely 3% of your income and people are suffering in ways you can't imagine. Your social circle has shifted entirely. Your close friends make between $300,000 and $800,000. You don't talk about money directly, but it's there in every conversation. The vacations, the renovations, the private schools. You've lost touch with old friends who make normal salaries. Not intentionally, but your lives don't overlap anymore. They can't join you for a $4,000 ski weekend, and you feel awkward suggesting it. Dating, if you're single, or marriage, if you're partnered, is complicated by wealth. Prenups, financial compatibility, the fear that someone loves your money more than you. You become risk-averse. You have too much to lose. You don't start the business you dream about because failure would mean losing ground. You stay in a lucrative but draining job because walking away feels irresponsible. And the strangest part? You still don't feel rich. You see people with $10 million, $50 million, $100 million, and you're aware of how far you still are from real wealth. You're wealthy by any objective measure, but you're still working, still grinding, still chasing. Level 6 is rich. Your net worth is $6 million. You didn't get here from salary alone. Maybe you sold a business for $3.2 million after taxes. Or you're a highly successful professional who's been maxing out investments for 20 years and the market has smiled on you. Or you inherited $1.5 million and invested it wisely. However it happened, you've crossed into a new category. You don't have to work anymore. Your investment portfolio generates roughly $180,000 per year at a 3% safe withdrawal rate, conservative to preserve principal. Combined with some consulting work or part-time income, $120,000 per year. Your household brings in $300,000 annually without a traditional full-time job. You live in a $2.1 million home, paid off. No mortgage. Property taxes are $28,000 per year, but you're not hemorrhaging $8,000 per month to a bank anymore. You drive what you want, a $110,000 Tesla Model X and a $73,000 Audi, both paid in cash. You'll replace them when you feel like it. Your monthly spending, property tax and insurance, $2,850. Utilities and maintenance, $800. Groceries and dining, $3,200. Travel, $4,500 per month average. You take 6+ trips a year, some international business class. Household services, $1,100. Healthcare, premium plans, $1,600. Hobbies and entertainment, $2,000. Charity, $2,500. Miscellaneous, $2,450. Total, $21,000 per month, $252,000 per year. You're living well below your means. You could spend more, but you don't need to. You've learned that beyond a certain point, more spending doesn't increase happiness. You work because you want to, not because you have to. That psychological shift is profound. Bad meeting? You can walk away. Toxic client? Fire them. Boss being unreasonable? You're not trapped. You've hired help for everything you don't want to do. Cleaning, yard work, taxes, car maintenance, even grocery delivery. Your time is your most valuable asset now. You don't worry about your kids' college. You have $420,000 in 529 plans. They'll graduate debt-free from any school they get into. Your retirement is secure. Even if you never saved another dollar, your $6 million will compound into $14 to $18 million by the time you're 65, assuming 5 to 6% real returns. You'll die rich. You become a lender to family. Your sister needed $35,000 for a down payment. You gave it to her as a gift, but it created weirdness. She's grateful but distant. Your relationship has changed. You're anonymous rich. You don't look wealthy. You wear jeans and a t-shirt most days. You drive nice cars, but not Ferraris. Your wealth is invisible to most people, which is exactly how you want it. But isolation is real. You can't talk about money with most people. If you mention you're worried about portfolio allocation, people think you're humble bragging. If you say you're stressed about estate taxes, you sound insane to someone making $60,000. You've lost the ability to relate to financial struggle. When a friend complains about a $1,200 emergency expense, you want to help, but you also can't understand why they don't have savings. You've forgotten what it's like to live without a cushion. You're politically uncomfortable. You believe in social safety nets and progressive taxation intellectually, but when you see your $430,000 tax bill, a primitive part of your brain screams that it's unfair. You donate $30,000 per year to charity and wonder if it's enough. It's more than most people give, but it's only 2.5% of your investable assets. Shouldn't you give more? But also, you earned this. Why should you feel guilty? You think about legacy now. What will your kids inherit? Will it ruin them or empower them? Should you give it away? Set up a foundation. You're rich, unambiguously, objectively rich, but you don't feel like you've made it because now you see the next level. And it's so far beyond you, it's almost a different species. Level 7 is very rich. Your net worth is $35 million. You sold your company for $50 million. After taxes, legal fees, and paying out investors and employees, you walked away with $28 million. You've invested conservatively, and it's grown to $35 million over 5 years. You're generating $1.4 million per year in investment income at a 4% withdrawal rate. But you don't need to withdraw anything because you still have consulting income and board seats that pay $400,000 per year for maybe 15 hours of work per week. You live in a $6.5 million home, 7,500 square feet, 6 bedrooms, wine cellar, home theater, pool, guest house. You bought it in cash because financing felt silly. You own a vacation home in Aspen, $2.8 million, that you use 3 weeks a year. The rest of the time it sits empty, which bothers you philosophically, but not enough to sell it. You drive a $185,000 Porsche Taycan and a $140,000 Range Rover. Your spouse is thinking about getting a $220,000 Mercedes G-Wagon just for fun. You'll probably say yes. Your monthly spending. Property taxes on both homes, $9,200. Insurance, home, auto, umbrella, cyber, $3,100. Utilities and maintenance, both properties, $2,400. Full-time housekeeper, $4,500. Personal chef, 3x/week, $3,200. Landscaping and pool service, $1,100. Groceries and dining, $5,000. Travel, $12,000 per month average. First-class international, luxury hotels. Private trainers and wellness, $2,800. Subscriptions, memberships, country club, $1,900. Kids' private school and activities, $6,500. Charity, $8,000. Miscellaneous, $6,300. Total, $66,000 per month, $792,000 per year. You're spending $800,000 per year and still growing wealth. Your net worth increases by $1 to $2 million per year from investment returns alone. You've hired a family office, a team of professionals, wealth manager, tax strategist, estate planner, concierge, who manage your life for a fee of $240,000 per year. It sounds obscene until you realize they saved you $580,000 in taxes last year through legal optimization strategies. You fly private occasionally, not your own jet, but net jets or similar, $15,000 to $40,000 per trip. You tell yourself it's for convenience and time savings, which is true, but it's also just incredibly nice. You don't wait in lines anymore. TSA pre-check, concert VIP sections, restaurant reservations that are fully booked until your assistant calls. Money has become a shortcut to convenience. Your kids go to elite private schools, $55,000 per year each. They have tutors, coaches, and enrichment programs. They've been to 22 countries. They're growing up in a bubble you're acutely aware of, but can't quite pop. You're anonymous to the public, but known in your industry and social circle. You sit on nonprofit boards. You're invited to exclusive events. You have access to investment opportunities, private equity, venture capital, real estate syndicates that aren't available to ordinary investors. But the wealth has created distance. Your old friends can't relate anymore. One joked about your toy car, the Porsche, and you laugh, but it stung. You're not trying to show off. You just like nice things and can afford them. But to them, you become that guy. You worry about your kids constantly. They've never struggled. They don't understand the value of money because they've never lacked it. You try to teach them, but how do you simulate hunger in a mansion? You're terrified of losing it all. You stress test your portfolio obsessively. What if the market crashes at 40%? What if inflation spirals? What if there's a wealth tax? You have $35 million, and you're still worried about money, which you know is absurd but can't help. You're aware of inequality in a way that makes you uncomfortable. You pass homeless encampments in your $185,000 car and feel a mix of guilt, sadness, and defensiveness. You earned this. But also, did you? Luck and timing played huge roles. You donate $96,000 per year to charity, which is more than most people earn, but it's less than 0.3% of your net worth. Should you give more? Half. All of it. You've entered a strange space. Rich enough that money isn't a constraint, but not rich enough to influence systems. You're still aware of the ultra-wealthy above you. People with $500 million, $2 billion, $50 billion. To them, you're barely a rounding error. And that realization is destabilizing. No matter how much you have, there's always more. Level 8 is ultra-wealthy. Your net worth is $380 million. You're the founder of a company that went public, or you're a top executive who held stock options through multiple funding rounds and an IPO, or you sold a massive business, or you made a series of extraordinarily successful investments. However it happened, you're now in the top 0.01% of global wealth. Your investment portfolio generates $15.2 million per year at a conservative 4% withdrawal rate, but you don't withdraw it. Your wealth grows by $15 to $30 million per year from appreciation alone, compounding faster than you can spend. You live in a $28 million estate, 16,000 square feet, 12 bedrooms, 14 bathrooms, wine cellar, tennis court, private gym, guest house, staff quarters. You own 4 other properties. Penthouse in New York City, $12 million. Beach house in Malibu, $19 million. Ski chalet in Aspen, $8.5 million. Villa in Lake Como, Italy, $11 million. You own a $4.2 million yacht, 60 feet. And you're considering upgrading to an $18 million model, 110 feet, because the current one feels small. You own a fractional jet share, $500,000 per year plus flight costs, which gives you 50 hours of private flight time annually. Commercial flying is unthinkable now. Not because you're snobby, but because time is literally worth $10,000 per hour based on your wealth and opportunity cost. You employ a full-time staff. Personal assistant, $120,000 per year. House manager, $150,000 per year. Private chef, $180,000 per year. Security, 2 personnel, rotating $320,000 per year. Nanny/tutor, $95,000 per year. Driver, $85,000 per year. Maintenance/estate staff, $240,000 per year combined. Total staff costs, $1.19 million per year. Your annual spend. Total annual spending, $14 million per year. You're spending $14 million and still growing wealthier. Your accountant tells you that you're too conservative and should spend more or give more away for tax optimization. You've become invisible to normal society, but hyper-visible in elite circles. You attend invite-only events, Allen and Company Sun Valley Conference, Milken Institute Global Conference, private dinners with heads of state, philanthropic galas where tables cost $250,000. You're on a first-name basis with senators, CEOs, and celebrities. Not because you're famous, but because wealth buys access. You funded a private foundation with $45 million that distributes $2 to $3 million per year to causes you care about. Education, climate, medical research. You have a small staff running it. It's your legacy project. But wealth at this level creates surreal isolation. You can't tell anyone your real net worth. If you said $380 million, people would either hate you, ask for money, or treat you differently. So you're vague. I did well in tech, or we've been fortunate. Your closest friends are other ultra-wealthy people because they're the only ones who don't treat your lifestyle as alien. But even among them, there's subtle competition. Who has the bigger yacht? Whose kids got into Harvard? Who's on more boards? You've lost touch with normal life. You haven't been in a grocery store in 7 years. You haven't pumped gas in a decade. You don't know what a gallon of milk costs. Your assistant handles everything. Your kids are in a gilded cage. They attend $65,000 per year boarding schools in summer in the Hamptons or the French Riviera. They'll inherit tens of millions. You worry they'll never develop work ethic, resilience, or empathy. You're obsessed with privacy and security. You've been targeted by scams, lawsuits, and people claiming you owe them. You've had credible threats. You have a team monitoring your digital footprint, scrubbing data, managing reputation. You've structured your wealth in trusts, LLCs, offshore accounts, legal but optimized, to protect assets and minimize estate taxes. You'll pass $200+ million to your heirs, but you want them to earn their own success too. So you've set up complex trust structures that release funds at certain ages or milestones. Politically, you're conflicted. You support progressive causes publicly, but also hire lobbyists and accountants to minimize your tax burden. You donated $1.2 million to political campaigns last cycle because access matters. You feel guilty and defensive simultaneously. Guilty because the inequality is obscene. Defensive because you work hard, took risks, and created value. Why should you apologize? You're aware that $380 million is unfathomable to most people. But you're also aware that there are people with $10 billion, $50 billion, $200 billion, and compared to them, you're middle class. The goalposts never stop moving. You have everything money can buy, but you can't buy time, health, genuine relationships, or peace of mind. And late at night, you wonder, was it worth it? Level 9 is Billionaire. Your net worth is $2.7 billion. You're a household name, or you could be if you wanted. Maybe you founded a tech unicorn that dominates its sector. Maybe you're a hedge fund manager who's returned 18% annually for 2 decades. Maybe you inherited $600 million and grew at 5x through disciplined investing and savvy acquisitions. However it happened, you're now in the top 0.0001%, one of roughly 2,700 billionaires globally. Your wealth is so large it's almost abstract. At a 4% return, your portfolio generates $108 million per year passively. That's $295,000 per day. You make more in your sleep than most people earn in 5 years. You own a $95 million primary estate, 24,000 square feet, 30 acres, indoor pool, private movie theater, helipad. 6 other properties globally totaling $180 million. A $72 million super yacht, 180 feet, crew of 18. A Gulfstream G650 private jet, $65 million. A car collection worth $18 million, vintage Ferraris, McLarens, a one-of-one Bugatti. An art collection valued at $120 million, Warhol, Basquiat, Rothko. You employ 63 people across estates, yacht, plane, security, and personal staff. Annual payroll, $8.4 million. Board of major corporations, universities, hospitals, and museums. Your name is on buildings. The Your Name Center for Innovation at Stanford. The Your Name Wing at the Met. You've launched a private foundation with $400 million in assets that funds global health, education, and climate initiatives. It distributes $20 million per year and employs 40 people. It's run like a corporation. You don't wait for anything. Sold-out concert? Private box. Michelin star restaurant? They'll open just for you. Exclusive island? You bought it. You've met presidents, prime ministers, royalty. You've been invited to Davos multiple times. You're in group texts with other billionaires coordinating philanthropy or investments. But you're also a target. Every business decision you make is scrutinized. Journalists investigate you. Activists protest outside your events. Online mobs call you a parasite or hoarder of wealth. You've had death threats serious enough that the FBI is involved. Your family lives in a secure bubble. Your kids can't go to normal schools. They'd be kidnapped risks. They're homeschooled or attend ultra-elite institutions with military-grade security. You haven't had a spontaneous moment in 15 years. Every outing is planned, secured, and controlled. You can't walk down a street without bodyguards. You can't eat at a restaurant without an advanced security sweep. Your relationships are transactional, or you assume they are. Does your spouse love you or the wealth? Do your friends enjoy your company or your access? You'll never know for sure. You're deeply lonely despite being surrounded by people. No one sees you. They see your net worth, your power, your influence. You've funded cancer research, climate tech, education access. You've objectively made the world better. But you're still vilified because $2.7 billion is an incomprehensible, indefensible amount of wealth to most people. You think about legacy obsessively. How will history remember you? As a visionary entrepreneur, a philanthropist, or a greedy oligarch? You're considering signing the Giving Pledge to donate 99% of your wealth before you die. But you also want to ensure your kids and grandkids are secure. The math is impossible. Even 1% of $2.7 billion is $27 million, generational wealth. You're aware that wealth at this scale is political power. You can sway elections, fund movements, influence policy. That power is intoxicating and terrifying. You're also aware that even $2.7 billion is nothing compared to Bezos, $150 billion, Musk, $230 billion, or sovereign wealth funds, $1 trillion plus. You've reached a level most humans can't comprehend, and it's still not the top. The strangest part? You're not happy. Not miserable, but not happy. You have everything, and somehow it's not enough. Level 10 is trillionaire, dynastic wealth. Your family's wealth is $50+ billion, accumulated over 3 generations. You didn't build this. Your great-grandfather did. Oil, railroads, banking, something foundational. Your grandfather expanded it. Your father professionalized it. Now it's yours to steward, not own. This isn't personal wealth. It's a family institution. Trusts, foundations, investment vehicles, private companies, real estate portfolios spanning continents. You don't work a job. You manage a legacy. Your family office employs 200+ people. Investment managers, lawyers, accountants, security, philanthropic advisors, political consultants. Annual operating cost, $40 million. Your personal annual budget is irrelevant. If you want something, anything, it's approved. A $120 million estate? Approved. A $200 million yacht? Approved. A $12 million donation to your alma mater? Approved. But it's not really your money. It belongs to the family trust, and you're a beneficiary and trustee. You can't just cash out. You're bound by legal structures designed to preserve wealth across centuries. You own 14 properties globally, total value, $680 million. A 230-foot super yacht, $310 million. A private island, $85 million. A Boeing 737 BBJ converted to a private jet, $120 million. Art, antiques, and collectibles worth $890 million. But you don't think of them as yours. They're family assets. Your name is on museums, hospitals, universities, concert halls. Your family has funded entire wings of the Louvre, endowed 47 professorships at Harvard, built hospitals in developing countries. You sit on the boards of Fortune 500 companies not because you applied, but because your family's investment funds own 8 to 12% stakes and board seats come with that. You've met with heads of state as a diplomatic courtesy. Presidents take your calls, not because they like you, but because your family's political donations and economic influence are significant. You're not famous to the general public. In fact, you've spent millions on privacy and reputation management to stay out of the press. But in elite circles, Davos, Bilderberg, private councils, your family name carries weight. Your children are raised by nannies, tutors, and boarding schools. You see them on holidays. They're polite, well-educated, emotionally distant. They'll inherit the same responsibility you did. You're trapped by legacy. You can't fail. The family name, the institutions, the employees, thousands of people depend on decisions you make. The pressure is immense and invisible. You've never experienced financial fear, but you've experienced existential fear. What if I'm the generation that destroys this? You don't have friends. You have relationships. Everyone wants something. Access, money, influence. Genuine connection is nearly impossible. You're estranged from normal human experience. You don't know what a mortgage feels like, or job insecurity, or choosing between paying rent and buying groceries. You're aware of the inequality. You've read the reports. 1% own 40% of wealth. You're in the 0.00001%. You've funded think tanks on wealth redistribution while simultaneously lobbying against wealth taxes. The cognitive dissonance is crushing. You've donated $1.2 billion to charity over your lifetime. It's more than most nations' GDPs. But it's also less than 3% of family wealth, and you're criticized for not giving more. You wonder, should we give it all away? Would that fix anything? Or would it just make us feel better? Your legacy is written in stone before you die. Buildings, scholarships, foundations, trusts that will exist for 200+ years. But you, as a person, are forgotten. Your great-grandfather's name is everywhere. But nobody knows who he was, his fears, his joys, his humanity. He's a myth, and you're becoming one too. You have access to everything except freedom. You're bound by responsibility, legacy, and expectation. You'll die wealthy. Your children will inherit. The cycle continues. And somewhere, a 24-year-old with $127 in their bank account is dreaming of becoming you. They have no idea. This is life at every rank of wealth. From survival to dynasty. From freedom to gilded cage. From dreams to legacy. The question isn't how much money you have. It's what you're willing to sacrifice to get it, and whether it was worth it. If this opened your eyes to the hidden cost of wealth, leave a like and subscribe to POV Story Diaries for more journeys through the worlds most people never see. Because understanding the levels is the first step to deciding which one you actually want.